We would like to welcome you to the Pensive Insights Channel. If you have been looking for information on truck driving business plans and more information, we have our top 3 videos that we have researched and want to present to you. But first off, there are links at the bottom in the description of this video that will take you to the official page that you see here, if you are looking for a course that may be able to teach you more of what you need to know for starting a trucking company. And as you can briefly see here, this course is said to reveal to you how to make 6 figures in as short as 3 months, and as you can see, there is more information in the featured course when you click on the links below in the description. Just briefly take a look here as we scroll. But now, let's get to our selection of videos that we have researched for truck driving business plans and more information. Video number 1 is from the PowerMove Makers YouTube channel. Video number 2 is from the Blueprint Academy YouTube channel. Video number 3 is from the Amrit Dhanraaj YouTube channel. Video number 1 is from the PowerMove Makers YouTube channel.
What type of truck does that buy me?
That's going to buy you an older truck, for sure. I mean,
Okay,
you're not
but
going to get...
there's so many different types of truck. And what I mean by this is it a box truck? Is that a trailer?
Again, it depends on what you want to do. So now if you add the trailer, that's another cost too. So, okay. All right. So you have box trucks, you have semi trucks, the combination trucks. Mm-hmm. When I say you get in 50,000, you could get in on either of those fronts. If you want to buy a box truck or you want to buy a semi truck, but you're going to be buying an older truck. A brand new truck could run you anywhere from $100,000 to $120,000. You know what I'm saying? For a brand new 2022 truck, that's what you're going to be paying. And depending on your specs, like if it's specced out, you know what I mean? Everything in it, it's going to run you some money. So if you're getting an older truck, that's what I'm saying. Just to get into the game at the bare minimum, that's what you're going to need. Probably around that 50 grand to be in a decently comfortable place. And I mean, obviously, there's different ways you could get in. You don't have to spend all your money on the truck. There's different companies that offer financing where you can just, put a down payment on the truck to where, as opposed to spending, 30 grand on the truck, you could put down $5,000-$6,000 and walk away with the truck. You know what I mean? It just depends on how you situate yourself in order to make it happen and what your finances look like. Obviously, things play into that, like credit, your personal financial outlook. So it just really depends on where you are as a business and then what you want to do with the truck. And that's really the key. Like a lot of people just think the trucking industry and they're like, all right, I want to get into the trucking industry, but it's like, all right, cool. But you want to get into the truck, but what do you want to do? Like you just now said, box trucks. Box trucks is like what they call like last mile, final mile, like where you're delivering shorter deliveries, right? Like delivering to houses or going from different dock to dock deliveries, and it's shorter mileage, and you could do it in a box truck. Like what a box truck basically is the overage that can't fit on the 48-foot or 53-foot trailer. They're putting that on the box truck. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to the same places, but it can't fit on the bigger trucks because it's too much. So now they have to get a box truck, and they're going to pay the box truck less, right? But they still have to get that freight moved as well. So you can do box trucks. That's actually a great way to get started because it's cheaper to purchase a box truck. And also you can drive a box truck without a CDL, so you could even get into the game without a CDL with a box truck. So, I mean, it just, like I said, it's so vast. It really depends on what you want to do because it's hard to give a one size fit all answer because it's just so many different niches. You know what I mean? Okay.
So say I got my truck, right? Just for lack of a better example, let's stick with the box truck. Yeah. I'm driving locally because I'm assuming box trucks, you're not doing OTR.
You do OTR on box trucks too.
Oh, you can do it? Okay.
Yeah,
so 100%. Let's just say local and regional, just for this example. I'm happy. I now own my own truck. What do I do now? Give me the best places that showing Prez. I got my truck. I'm happy. I'm up and running.
Right.
Where do I find my loads? What do I do? How do I, I'm open for business, guys. Right. I'm ready to work. Where do I find these loads at?
Yeah. So there's 2 different ways you can go about it. The one way you could do is what we talked about earlier, where you lease on with a company who already has loads, right? So you could lease your truck on with a carrier, right, who already has trailer loads to be pulled, and basically you're partnering your business with their business and you're pulling their freight, right? So your expenses are going to be a little bit lower because you don't have to have your own authority to do that. You're going to pull their freight, but you're not going to make as much money up front because they're the middleman. They're getting the freight from a shipper, and then they're allocating that freight to the people who pull the loads for them, right? So that's one way you can do it. If you want to go out on your own, there's what they call a load board. That's how most people start, right? So what a load board is it's a place where shippers, right? Shippers who are places like distribution centers, people who have freight.
Give me 1 second. You're speaking above most of our heads.
Okay,
Remember,
okay.
this is 101.
Okay.
What is shippers?
Okay.
Explain all the different terminology.
Got you. So a shipper would be like Amazon, right? Amazon could be like an example of a shipper, right? A shipper is a warehouse with cargo in it and goods in it, right? Whether it's dry goods, whether it's cold store, whether it's cold goods, refrigerated goods, whatever it is, it's a warehouse in a place where there are goods, and that's going to be the shipper. That building that holds all those goods that needs to be put on the truck to go from point A to point B, right? Okay. So
who's your carrier?
So the carrier is going to be the company that's going to be hauling those goods. That's going to be pulling those goods on a truck, right? So the carrier is going to be the trucking company. Like, what's a trucking company you've heard of before? Give me a company you've seen on the road.
Damn, man.
Old Dominion, maybe Swift, JB Hunt. Okay. These guys are carriers. Usually, like when you see the sign on the side of the trailer, whatever that name is, that's the carrier. So their job is to basically have relationships with these shippers, right? To be able to haul this freight, because the shipper just has the warehouse with the freight, and they need to get that freight somewhere else. They don't have the truck to do it in some cases. So that's where you come in as the carrier to take that freight from point A to point B, right?
Got you.
So in some cases, just getting started out, if you get your own truck, you can partner with the carrier, which is what they call leasing on, to where you go underneath their insurance and their authority, right? They're privileged to pull these loads, right? And you pull loads for them, right? And so that's how you get in. That's how you get your loads. So the relationship there is you have the truck and the driver. They have the relationship with the shipper and the loads. You take your truck and your driver, you go to their shippers and you pull those loads for them. That shipper pays them, and then they pay you.
Got it?
All right.
You started talking about load boards. Can we lock in on that for before I move this interview on?
Yeah. So the other way to do it, if you do have your own authority, right, and you're working for yourself, so now you're the carrier, right? You have your own truck, you have your own trailer. Sean Prez Transportation is on the side of the truck, right? That's when a lot of people use load boards. What load boards are is basically a platform, right? It's like almost like Facebook for the trucking industry, right? You have all the shippers and the brokers. Brokers are people who have relationships with shippers who are brokering loads on behalf of the shippers, right? So you have the brokers and the shippers posting their loads on this platform at a price, right? And they're saying, we're willing to pay you this amount of money to haul this freight from point A to point B. This freight will be available on Monday at this time, right? You need this particular type of trailer, this particular type of equipment. It has to meet this size requirements. And if you meet all that criteria, you can then bid on this particular freight to run this load for me. So that's what, so on the other side, it's a two-sided marketplace. You have the shippers and you have the brokers, and then you have the carriers competing for that freight. So they're getting on the load board. They're saying, all right, let me see. All right, there's a load in Florida that's paying $1,000 to go from Florida. And I'm just using numbers here. So, this is just whatever. It's paying me $1,000 to go from Florida to South Carolina. And you get on there and you say, all right, that's a good load to me. I'm going to take that. My truck can make money by taking that load, right? So you'll accept that load. So then the transaction comes to where you reach out to that shipper or that broker and you say, hey, I'm interested in that load, right? And they say, okay, you're interested in it. You can negotiate on price, right? Where you say, I like that load, but 1,000 is a little too low for me. I need 1,200. They can say yes or no. Once you guys come to an agreement on price, the load is done. They send what they call a rate confirmation, which is basically an acceptance of the that you accept this load and you're taking possession of this load. So now it's your responsibility until it gets to point B, right? And then you take that load. That's how the load board works. And then when you get to that point, you can jump on the load board again or pre-plan a load coming out of South Carolina to get you to your next point. So that's how you kind of work the load board. What a lot of people like to do is they like to build relationships to get what they call dedicated lanes, which is where they have shippers or brokers that they work with on a consistent basis all the time, to where they're not always looking for the work, but they have their work pre-planned for the week or for the month or for the next 6 months. So they know they're going to be running that same lane every single time. And now they don't have to be searching and finding and negotiating and pretty much bottom feeding, because a lot of freight doesn't even make it to the load board. A lot of times freight will make it to the load board after the direct relationships aren't working. The direct relationships don't have enough capacity. So we're going to post this on a load board to see what trucker or what carrier will take it, because our direct relationships, we have nobody. We have too much freight. We don't have enough trucks. Now we got to post it. So ultimately what you want to get to is to a point to where you build rapport and you have direct relationships with customers to where you don't have to necessarily use that load board, or when you use it, it's a last resort. You know what I mean? Because now you have consistent freight, and now you have that relationship to where you know where your freight's coming from. And now you can project your money a little bit better, right? You know how much you're going to make on that specific lane. You could look at, your fuel costs, and you could kind of do a real live P&L and kind of figure out what you're going to be spending on that lane, and you'll know what your money's going to look like at the end of the week or at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So that's ultimately probably where you want to get. But a lot of people start off working those load boards, and there's different load boards out there like that. Trucker's Edge, like there's a bunch of load boards. People can Google load boards and they'll see what they are. But basically what it is, a platform, a two-sided marketplace for carriers and shippers and brokers to be able to connect.
Okay, beautiful. You just answered my next question, which was, where the hell do I even find a load board at? So I can go ahead and Google that.
Yeah, you Google load boards and you'll find a bunch that pop up. Okay.
What about negotiating your fee?
Mm-hmm.
What is that based on? And I want you to break it down, like the pros and the cons, because is there a set fee in the industry from driving from one place to another? Do the drivers charge based on mileage? Is there a pro and a con to that? Is there a pro and a con to basing your fee on a percentage? Like what does that look like? And do Sean, who's just getting into business, do I have any negotiating power? Like, or do they look at me like, give me the little pat on the head, like you should be happy we're even using you. You don't even have no miles under your belt.
Right. So with negotiation, it's all about, like in any business, it's all about supply and demand, right? If the more trucks that are in a particular area, right? If there's more trucks, the shipper or the broker they're able to pay less because there's more supply. The less trucks, they have to pay more because there's less supply. So if you happen to be in an area where there's a lot of freight but not a lot of trucks, you'll be able to charge more, obviously, because they're trying to get their freight out, but there's no trucks. So if you're the one truck that's there that's going to take it, you could charge a premium because ultimately they got to get that freight moved. So you have that negotiating power. On the reverse side, if it's a whole bunch of trucks, right, in a specific area and not a lot of freight, well, if it's a whole bunch of trucks, basically it's reverse. to where you can't charge them as much because you're not the only game in town. If you say no, they can reach out to somebody else. So at that point, they have more flexibility in terms of their negotiating, their negotiating power. So they have leverage. You know what I mean? But it's always negotiating. Like they say, you get what you negotiate, not what you deserve. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be negotiating, and that's going to be just based on, the different variables that's happening at that time, especially if you're working a load board. It's like based on what's going on at that current moment. Now you know what kind of negotiating power you have. And on the load board itself, it tells you what the going rate is for the lane. So like when you look at that load, it'll say this load pays typically about $1,200. So you'll have an idea of what you can charge for that rate, but that doesn't mean you're gonna charge that or you're gonna get that. It's all a matter of what's going on in that current moment and in the market at the time. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share.
Video number
Peace
2 is
and love.
from the Blueprint Academy YouTube channel.
Hey, peace family. Blueprint Academy back with another video. This one, I think you're really gonna like. Listen, middlemaning, being a middleman or a middlewoman is becoming one of the best professions, one of the best ways to make money and be successful in this day and age. Think about Amazon, think about Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. They're all middlemen, right? They connect the provider, the supplier with the customer. In this opportunity, this video here is going to show you how you can do that with the freight business, with the trucking business, how you can be a freight broker and be the middle person in between the distributor, the supplier, the person with the products, and the person with the truck who actually wants a load, who wants to deliver it. And these women right here are very successful, very knowledgeable, and I believe you're going to learn a lot from it. You're really going to like this one. Like it, share it, subscribe. It's the Blueprint, baby.
So you both operate as freight brokers, correct?
That's correct.
Explain to me, and either one of you can take this question. Explain to me and my audience, what is a freight broker?
Oh, I can do it. So basically a freight broker is a middleman. So we go to a shipper who becomes our customer and they give us loads, and then we literally just give it to the carrier for them to haul it. And we make a percentage off of that transaction. We don't handle the freight. We don't drive the trucks. We don't have to have equipment. We're just the middleman.
So a freight broker is literally the in-between guy.
That's correct.
And in your case,
That's it.
in your case, women.
Women.
Yeah.
That's right. We get out in the field and we go find customers that have freight that needs to be moved, and we have to get them to trust us. So our main job is being a problem solver and building a relationship with customers and carriers. You know, customers are the actual shippers, but the carriers as well. So we have to get out there and find the people that have the freight that needs to be moved. And then we turn around and we find trucks to get that done. And like Sam said, we never actually touch the freight. In our case, it's a little different because we are able to broker freight to our own trucks. I as well have 5 trucks. So when we started back in 2009, we had that one truck. And at first we made a lot of money, but then we failed miserably. I mean, we went through everything that you can imagine. And that's really a part of the story.
Before we get to that part of the interview, because I'm going to go there, I want to know the mistakes. Okay. I want to know the different things to look out for. I'm just with the backstory now, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Okay. Freight broker, I get it. Freight agent. What's the difference between a freight agent and a broker?
So the agent actually works under the broker's authority. An agent can actually have their own business, their own entity, and in the freight world, we call it their own book of business, but they don't have all the financial and legal responsibilities as a broker. So if you called me up, Sean, and you said, hey, I'm thinking I want to be a freight agent and work under you because I have some customers, some friends I already know that's in, shippers, and they have things that need to be moved, you can work under my brokerage without going out and getting your own authority, your own insurance, your own surety bond. And you're literally just responsible for getting that freight covered. We do the same thing. Brokers and agents do the same thing, but the broker holds that legal and financial responsibility.
Understood.
Very similar to like a real estate agent and a real estate broker.
Great analogy. Great analogy. Can an agent work for multiple brokers at the same time, or are they exclusive to one broker?
That's a great question. And I'm going to be perfectly honest and transparent. I personally have worked for two brokers at one time. I do not recommend that. It can get confusing. And it could be very different reasons why. I literally worked that way because I had a friend that owns a brokerage, and I partnered with them on a very large account. So I worked under his brokerage as a freight agent while I was working for another broker. They both knew I was very upfront because it was a customer that I was going after for a while in the government sector. So I told them both what I was doing. But I don't really see a need to do that unless you have a special circumstance. So the answer is yes. It's not illegal, but I don't suggest that anyone do that. Sam, if you want to add.
Good.
And I was going to say it's probably the preference of the actual freight broker too that they're working up under. They may only have them, do like a non-compete clause, but like she said, it's definitely not illegal. You just sign a contract with multiple freight brokers. They just want to make sure that there's, like I said, a clause in there that they can't work with another freight broker. Because if they fall out, they can take all them customers and just move it to another one.
Is it one of those unwritten rules in the industry that it's frowned upon? I know legally they can do it, but is it one of those things that if I come to you guys as an agent and I say, look, I'm also working with, another broker, would you, Sean, go ahead, just stick with that person. When you're ready to be exclusive to us, come to us. Or is it frowned upon, or is it commonplace in the industry?
Because we get so busy, I honestly don't see or hear of a lot of people working as an agent under multiple brokers. Like for my situation, I think it was just very unique because, I'll just tell the customer, AFES, I don't know if you're familiar, but AFES is the Army and Air Force Exchange, which is located on military bases. And I wanted that customer for a long time, and it was hard to get that customer. My friend's brokerage had the credentials that I didn't have at the time, or even the company that I was working with at the time to get that customer. So I was very transparent that, I had been making those calls, I had been making the connection, and basically he had a place for me to come and move that freight, and we could both benefit. So I'm not going to say that it's so much frowned upon, but I would think, just like Sam said, as the broker, you need to be very clear on what it is, how your business runs and what you expect. You would have them sign that non-compete clause. There's so many ways to do it. It's your business. Like you can do it the way you want as long as you're following the rules of the FMCSA. So I personally don't hear of a lot of agents just working for multiple brokers. To this day, I still benefit from that customer under my friend's brokerage, even though I have my own. So it's just a business relationship that we build, and we have a mutual understanding, and we both benefit from that customer. So again, it could be frowned upon, because you may think as a broker, this agent may take some of our company's information to another broker. So I just don't recommend it unless, like I said, you have a very certain special situation that, would allow you to do that.
Got you. Sam, question for you. Again, this is your world. It's not my world. So I'm going to ask very basic questions because I don't know who's going to be listening to this on podcast form or watching this in video form. You guys are using terms carrier, shipper.
Yep.
Can you explain in very dumbed down ABC terms, who is a carrier and who is a shipper?
Sure. So your carrier is your trucking company. Those are the ones who actually owns the truck. So, you know, like you probably heard of like JB Hunt, just anybody that's on the freeway, anybody that has to deliver to an actual shipper. Your shipper is your customer who has the warehouse, who holds the products in that warehouse that has to be moved. So that could be Walmart, that can be Kroger, Target. That's why we tell people it's so easy to find shippers, because anybody that has freight to move is a shipper.
Got you. Great answer. What is needed to become a broker? Is this something, if I said today, I want to become a broker, do I have to go to 4 years of college? Is there a 6-month certificate program? What is needed on my side to become a licensed broker? And I guess, Sam, you can answer that question yourself.
Sure. So no college degree is needed, no certification. Honestly, we recommend training because everything that you need to be a broker, you can't Google. But we basically help you like summarize everything and put everything together in the correct order, in the right steps, right, that you need. So you have to have what's called a motor carrier authority. That's through the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Association. And you apply for that the same as you would if you were trying to get a trucking company. You have to have the same motor carrier authorization to broker freight. You then have to have what's called a BOC3. That's a blanket of coverage. And that is literally a process agent in every state that can accept paperwork or like a claim on your behalf. You have to have a surety bond. So it used to be $10,000, now it's $75,000. So you just pay a premium of that $75,000 based on your credit and your experience. What am I missing? Oh, the UCR. So the UCR covers like, so it's not a requirement of the FMCSA like it is for the freight broker authority, but what it is, you have to have it in place to cover motor activities throughout the state. And I think it's like $62. So you do that once a year. And with all of that, and you have your customer, you could be a freight broker. And Tristan, if I'm missing something, let me know.
No, that's it.
So you're saying today, if I wanted, because from the outside looking in, you would think that it is so deep and it's so much involved to get into this business. There are no classes that I need to take. There's nothing online. There's nothing that I have to have in terms of my background, meaning I don't need to have been a driver and really understand the industry. So long as I take care or check all of the boxes that you just mentioned, Sam, I can go out and work as a legal freight broker?
Yep.
Welcome everyone. So today has been such a hot day. We were planning to shoot outside and it was 37 degrees. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. So it was so hot. I was like, you know what? Maybe let's just shoot it in the office. So I want to talk about something very important that everybody's like asking me all the time. People DMing me and they've been asking like, Amrit, can you help us find drivers to dispatch? I'm like, maybe. So that's what I'm going to discuss today with you guys. How can you find truck drivers to dispatch for your business, whatever you have going on? Of course, there's more models to it. So we're going to talk all about it today in this video. So any of you who don't know anything about me, my name is Amrit and I help trucking companies get and find qualified truck drivers. I've been in trucking for a long time, been a mechanic, been a driver, been a planner. So anything and everything that you can do with a semi, I've done in my journey and my career. So I want to share with you how you can find drivers for dispatch. Like when I hear the word dispatch, I just automatically in my mind, it's like you're a dispatching company and you want to find owner operators that you can give loads to and have a business and make money and make profit and whatnot. So it's more so about like finding the right drivers or owner operators, right? Like in technical sense. If you have your own equipment, then of course, then you're looking for a truck driver. But more so when you are just dispatching, or like when I hear the word dispatch exclusively, like it's more so when you're looking for owner operators. So I'm going to discuss both of them in this video, and there's some similarities and some differences, okay, when looking for truck drivers and when looking for owner operators. But I'm going to take the owner operator side first. So imagine if you are a dispatching company, like you run a dispatching company and you're dispatching loads, you're picking up loads from like, you know, DAT or truck stop or whatever it may be. And then you're looking for carriers or small 1 or 2, you know, truck guys who want to like do trucking with you and like give you the trucks and run it and get you a driver and whatnot. How do you find more of them? Now, you know what? Let me scale back to like, how should you even approach to this this phenomena, this whole thing? Because me just giving you the tactics is not going to solve anything. Me just reprogramming how you look at this problem or you look at how to find solution is actually going to give you better way to address how you can find better carriers, owner operators, drivers for your dispatching business or whatever you're trying to do. Cool. Now, the first thing you want to keep in mind is that let's take an example of owner operator. Like, why should an owner operator come and work for you? And the reason why I say that is like all the medium to large trucking companies, anybody who has like more than, I say 60, 50, 100, 30, even more than 30, 40, 50 trucks, they're always looking for, hey, if there's an owner operator, we'll take him. Okay, like because they have so much freight, like everybody has so much freight to move that they can almost take any time an owner operator. Now, the good thing with those like asset-based trucking companies is that they have, you know, good connections with their insurance. They can pay the drivers. They don't hold the pay on, like the owner operator hold the pay on it. Like when you're a dispatching business, what happens is like you dispatch a load, you're waiting to get paid from the shipper, or you know, from the shipper 30 days later, and you may hold that money over to owner operator. Now you may use factoring and all that. If you don't know what factoring is, you're basically loaning money to run your trucking business, and factoring is a term that's used just for trucking. But you're borrowing money from a company, keeping some cash flow, so while you receive the money, you have money to give it to them. Or factoring gets the money and factoring gives it to you beforehand that, hey, this is what it is. But you got to keep in mind that the asset-based trucking businesses have more advantage over you for certain reasons. Number one is like, when you think about owner operator, they already have a truck on them, okay? Like they already have a truck on them. It's like their baby. It's like their, you know, this is so personal to them. That's their next step in their career. So when they have their own truck and they look at who do I want to run this truck for, they're looking for security. They're looking for like who's got the best perks, and not just perks in terms of like money, but also like who do they feel more safe and secure with? And I'll tell you what that means. You know, like when you're an owner operator, repair, maintenance, those are big things on your mind all the time, especially like if you're buying like a truck that's like 4 or 5 years used or something like that, or 10 years used. Like maintenance could be a big thing that could weigh on your mind. The insurance, you know, like insurance is another thing. So some carriers will offer bobtail insurance, and you may have to do like the, you know, the trailer or the cargo insurance. Some carriers may be like, hey, bring your bobtail insurance, owner operator man, and we will cover the cargo insurance under our policies. So that depends. Now you want to look at, as a dispatch business, that what can you offer? Are you competitive? Because if I'm an owner operator and you're standing here and I have another asset-based carrier here, and this guy offers me, hey, I'm going to cover your bobtail and I'm also going to give you cargo insurance. And you're saying like, well, I'm only going to cover your bobtail. You got to cover your cargo. You know, so the offer just changes right there. And then the other thing that you got to keep in mind is like the consistency in your lanes. Like what kind of lanes and consistency are you offering? Because if you hire an owner operator, let's say you do get someone and you get this guy and now you're just picking up the most hot load that's going to pay you the most money just to connect the dots and run this guy to like New Jersey, to like Alabama, then to like California, and then back, you're just running this guy, just trying to make the money on your side, and not thinking about this person who's on the road, that where is he going? Like, is there a consistency in the lane? Like he's out for like 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. That could piss a lot of owner operators off. You know what I mean? So that's why the asset-based carriers have a higher success in recruiting owner operator versus like one man kind of show. Like you do fight the offers, the things that you offer, and you gotta keep in mind, like, how can I make it better? You have to work a little bit hard to find better shippers, make better relationships, so you're not living off the load board all the time, because that's not a sustainable business. You may get to like 20 or 30 trucks, but that's the max you're gonna hit. Like, you're gonna hit a glass ceiling, and that's about it. You won't be able to recruit more owner operators. The whole business is gonna be just a mess and a chaos, and you won't be able to scale. But I'm gonna show you the tips that are gonna really help you actually get some good owner ops, and then, you know, keep them around for a while. At least, you know, have to give you the ability to grow your business, maybe even move into like an asset-based carrier, and then you have more like authority in the market, in the niche and whatnot. So what you want to look at is like, your offer is like the big thing. Like, what is my competitor offering in the area, and what am I offering? The lanes, the kind of freight you're going to be hauling, the kind of driver that you're looking for. Because if you're looking for a flatbed owner operator, that's different than a dry van owner operator, right? Dry van is way easier to handle than flatbed. You could be tarping, load securement, and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of reasons to like look at. There's no silver bullet to you can get as many flatbed drivers. You have to understand like who you're after, and if I'm after a certain kind of driver, it's going to be harder versus a dry van driver if you're looking for a specialized haul and whatnot. So that's one side of the things. The other side of the thing is like just truck drivers. If you have asset, you're almost like a you're almost like a trucking business where you're offering company driver position to these drivers. Okay, so, but I'm gonna stick to like the dispatch, because that's what I usually get a lot. Both of these scenarios almost are the same. And the big reason, the big shift or the big factor that's gonna make the needle move in your case, when you're just a one-man show, try to make yourself a business than trying to be working from like your home's basement and trying to dispatch loads and trying to think like I'm gonna make $1 billion trucking business. That's just not gonna happen. So I just want to break the truth, because that's what I get a lot. Like you can't just come with the mentality of making a quick buck. Like, that's just not gonna happen. You may get few owner operators, but not a high degree of success. So you wanna look at, how can I establish myself as a business, and how can I tap into becoming an asset-based carrier? Of course, you're going to carry more risk. Of course, you need more capital, but that's what it takes to grow to the next level. Okay, so look at like establishing yourself as a brand. I'm not saying like go get a fancy logo and a fancy website. That's not what I'm talking about, but more so about like, you know, having the right structure, not just living off the load board all the time. Okay, so that's the big one thing that you need to keep in mind. The second thing is you need to advertise and promote yourself as your business. And that's a big mistake that I see all the time, that you're looking for owner operators, but you're saying like, I am JJJ Dispatching, and my company is this, and my dispatching is this. Like, it's so jumbled that you can never market or advertise to the right owner operators with one unique brand or business. I see that problem all the time. There was actually a couple that came into, I can't remember, they were I think in Colorado or something, and they had like few trucks leased to a trucking business or a dispatching company, and they were looking for drivers for this business, and they were like, Amrit, like we have to supply the drivers, but at the same time, like, we're supposed to find the drivers for these people. So like, how can we market ourselves? How can we advertise for ourselves? So, and I'm like, that's a tricky situation. Like, you got to take the name of that business, or you got to have your own business that you promote and be like, hey, this is our business, and we have leased our truck to this business. So you're gonna really work for us, but running the loads under their command. You know, so have that clarity when you put your message out there. That's the big jumbled piece that I see all the time, especially with the smaller fleets or small time guys. And look into like, you know, doing things where you show who you are and what you do, instead of like just put a little picture and be like, now looking for owner operators, make $10,000 or $12,000. Great money. You're not going to get much drivers out of it or owner operators out of it. Like, put a video of yourself, maybe hold your phone and put a video of yourself in whatever area that you're in. So let's say if you are a dispatch company or dispatch business in Arizona, in Phoenix, and you want to kind of make like your freight area. Don't just go all over the country. And I said that before too. and then try to look for drivers in that area and say in the video, be like, hey, this is John from AZB ABCD Dispatching, and I'm looking for drivers in Arizona, California, New Mexico, Colorado. If you're somebody who wants to make X amount of money and be home every night or out on the road for that much time, I've got a great place for you. Don't get robbed by all these asset-based carriers. They care about just their own profit, not yours. I'm here to make sure I put more money in your pocket. So if you put something like this, that will actually show you as a higher person up here versus like the asset-based carriers, because these are the people that you're really fighting with. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you come up above them versus competing with them. You know, you have to differentiate yourself in a smarter, better way. So that would be like the biggest hack. And then just throw it on Facebook and then just run a little bit of ad to it, a little bit of traffic to it. Just hit the boost button, go boost a little bit of traffic, and you'll get a lot of drivers that will reach out to you and be like, okay, tell me more about yourself and whatnot. But you have to have like a solid core offer too, okay? Like, what are you paying for insurance? Who's covering the cargo? What do the loads look like? Where are you gonna be running? Who's gonna supply the trailer or the equipment, and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. What does your maintenance program look like? Because as I said before, like, maintenance is another thing that owner operators always seek security for, where they could feel safe. Like, most of these asset-based carriers, they have a maintenance shop. You don't. You're somebody just running off your home or an office that you've rented somewhere. So you need to partner with like a maintenance shop, be like, hey, I need like a preferred kind of customer service. Give me a better rate. I'm going to bring all my owner operators to you. Instead of $100 an hour of shop rate, I need like 75. I'm going to make sure like you get regular maintenance, you get oil changes. You tell your owner operators, be like, hey, we have a regular maintenance program that is scheduled. It's there. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to tell me. I'm going to tell you when to bring in, and we have this preferred shop that you're going to go to. All these small things will stack up to make your offer better. Then you're no more like a Joe Blow sitting in their basement trying to make a couple bucks off the load board. Like, you're no more that personality anymore. You're legitimate in business. You have to do that mind shift. And I always say it to everyone, it's like, you want to become an asset-based carrier. If you look at any big trucking businesses, there are more asset-based successful trucking businesses than there are just the one that run off like owner operators. There's like 2 or 3, but company basis, like there's hundreds. So that's what you want to aim for when you get into like the later stages. Anyway, so those were the quick tips on how to find truck drivers or owner operators for dispatch. I know I kind of gave you like an overview of things. If you want me to explain you in more detail, let me know in the comment. I will try to make another video where I kind of go into more drill down details for the segment that you want to know more. There's so much that I can share with you, but this is all I can in this short video. So let me know in the comments, and make sure you like this video, comment, and let me know what you want to learn more. And then hit that notification bell with the subscribe button. That way, whenever I release this video, it always comes to you. And there's so many people who are like, Amrit, how can we get more videos that you release all the time? When do you release them? Please let me know. The way that you're gonna find out is by hitting that notification bell. So go do it right now, and I will see you in the next video.
Once again, we would like to thank you for watching our top 3 videos for truck driving business plans and more information. Hit that like button and that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Also, remember that we have links below in the video description that will take you to the official page that you see here, for a course that may be able to teach you more of what you need to know for starting a trucking company. And as you can briefly see here, this course is said to reveal to you how to make 6 figures in as short as 3 months, and as you can see, there is more information in the featured course when you click on the links below in the description. Hit that like button and that subscribe button for us, here at the Pensive Insights Channel.